The views and opinions expressed on Deliberately Linked are entirely those of the host, who are completely responsible for all show content. These views and opinions are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure in any way any kind of condition, or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or personal practice. Nor is the information presented deemed to be accurate or verifiable.
What is up, Deliberately Linked viewers? Lace them up and lock it in, because on today's show, the weather's calling for a storm. Be on the lookout for business, mindset, faith, family, and fitness. We welcome you, Storm Strout, the business owner of CrossFit Vernation.
How exciting. How exciting.
Good stuff.
Very excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
Of course, buddy.
It's cool because we're actually on location today. So if you're viewing this, we're currently in the headquarters of CrossFit Vernation, seeing how things get done here and seeing how success is created. But before we get started, we wouldn't be able to do the show. We wouldn't be able to travel.
That's a fact.
We wouldn't be able to have Storm on the show if it wasn't for Serenity Home Improvements. JP and his crew, they're amazing. When you think about home improvements and you think about the care and the love you have in your home, and everybody here is a homeowner, we understand it's one of our greatest investments. Mm-hmm. And when you have a company that wants to invest in your investment as much as you do and make sure that your dreams are fulfilled and everything's perfect, right. It really lets you sleep at night pretty easy. Yeah. And the great thing about them, too, is JP doesn't care about the end of the dollar amount. What he cares about is his customer's happiness.
That's a fact.
So he's done some work for me. He's doing some current work for me now. He's just a really fantastic guy. And the great thing is, during the month of December, if you mention Deliberately Linked when you're talking to JP or the secretary over there, Serenity Home Improvements, they will give you 5% off of your material cost for your project.
That's amazing.
It's very, very nice of him. It's like an early Christmas present. So we're very thankful he runs that. But you can always reach out to them on Facebook, serenityhomeimprovements.com, or you can call them directly at 740-390-8773. Yeah. So Serenity Homes, thank you for bringing this show here today.
Yeah, no doubt. Serenity Homes, thank you so much. And again, we want to welcome Storm Strout in the house. Hey, man, we first off appreciate you letting us come into your establishment, bro. This place is fantastic.
Welcome.
I've always admired, all the detail that you have in this place, not only for yourself but for your customers that come into this place. So,
well, there's an atmosphere here.
No doubt.
You walk in here and instantly there's an atmosphere.
Yeah, you want to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a fantastic trait. But so Storm Strout, guys, for some of the listeners and viewers right now, is an ex-high school athlete, had a ton of success in his sporting careers. But on top of that, he furthered his passion and his work ethic in the field of business. And we're going to learn a lot about that today and the success that he has had in his business as a young entrepreneur. But obviously, just like any of us, there's adversity, there's ups and downs, and I think we're going to hear a lot about that today. But Storm, CrossFit Vernation, first off, for our listeners and viewers, what is CrossFit Vernation?
Good question. Veneration is respect or awe for dignity, wisdom, talent of an individual.
Okay.
Veneration. And I can't take credit for that. That's my wife.
That's your wife. Okay. So give Courtney the credit on that. Okay. That's interesting.
There's a thing, so when you're a CrossFit affiliate, you can't have, not only can you not have the same name as another affiliate, but you can't have anything similar.
Okay.
So we had a lot of what I thought were good ideas. And then when we were working on the founding, and you submit them, and then they reject them.
Yeah.
Like 30 times.
Okay.
And I was coaching a baseball game, and I came back into the dugout, and my phone buzzed, and I think Courtney was in the stands, and she said, "I've got it." She's like, "Veneration." I said, "What is that?"
Right.
And so it's all her, 100%.
Okay. No, that's cool.
That's going to be like a common theme of today.
Yeah, I like that.
She's definitely the better half.
There's nothing more rewarding when you kind of have honed in your name and you're like, oh my gosh, it applies and it makes so much sense for what we're doing.
It's almost like it's a blessing that they rejected all the other 30.
100%.
Yeah.
We were doing stuff like, I don't want to say it because I think they exist elsewhere.
Right.
That's why they got rejected. So I'm not gonna badmouth
it.
But I'm glad that we didn't get them.
No, good. But Storm, for you though, why CrossFit? Why CrossFit? Where does that come from?
Yeah, so in high school, I think the tail end of high school, I found CrossFit actually through my buddy Dalton.
Okay.
And
college roommate of mine, actually.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think it's at this point it's almost like a typical story. Like fell in love with it. I love that it was so varied, and I loved the personal results. I think a lot of people's story is loved it so much, got a lot of great results, had to share it with everybody. And I feel that to a degree. I've always loved creating. I love building things from zero, and for whatever reason, I could see it so clearly. I've been not only a member or an athlete of so many surrounding boxes and visited boxes all over the country, but
Surrounding boxes.
CrossFit box.
That's a
That's
thing.
good. That's a thing. That's a gym. CrossFit
Okay,
box.
didn't know that. News for me.
See, that's good to know because
That's important.
I think you've already said something, and I think most of our viewers would understand it. A lot of our viewers may understand working out, and when they hear CrossFit, they assume it's just another working out. But you're not describing that. You're not describing just a workout. You're saying, I found something I had to share. Other people need to experience. That's not a workout.
Yeah, that's
You're talking about something that you're saying changes your life, teaches you something else, or provides something else.
A community.
Yeah, so explain that a little bit. So what separates CrossFit from just your standard, hey, let's go throw some weights?
Good question.
Yeah, it's really great. So I think it's important to preface all of it by saying that we are affiliates, not franchises.
Okay.
So not only do we set our own hours and cultural behaviors and we have our own individual visions. It's important to understand that no two boxes are created equal. No two CrossFit gyms are created equal. So,
Well, Storm, I think on top of that, something that I've always noticed, obviously you're very familiar with Visionary Meals' business model because we host a gym here at CrossFit, or a fridge here at CrossFit Veneration. We're very fortunate of that. And I've been in multiple CrossFit gyms, and across the board, CrossFit gyms as a whole have this community-like atmosphere.
absolutely.
Touch on that a little bit for the viewers and why, because my whole life I've done bodybuilding, and I know Mark's done a wide variety of that as well. The atmosphere in a CrossFit gym is so much different than other gyms.
Yeah, it really is. I think all encompassing. All CrossFit gyms definitely have a feeling of their own community. They all have their own cultural beliefs, their own cultural behaviors, or at least I like to hope. I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone. Well, I can speak on behalf of Veneration, and our mission is to build a family of better humans through fitness, laughter, and love.
Okay.
And the fact
This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
This isn't just working out.
Right.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, if we can't, as a team and as a tribe, if we can't do that, if we can't build a family that incorporates fitness, laughter, and love, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's so much more than deadlifting and burpees. It is your nutrition. It is the fact that when you walk in our front door, you're greeted every day in front of the front desk, most likely with a hug. If not, if we're not that close yet, you'll get some knuckles. But that to me is CrossFit.
No, and you know what's crazy is I have been here, not as obviously I've never been in your CrossFit class per se, but I've walked through here before delivering a fridge with Josh, and I look out on the floor, and there is a range of people who obviously are just beginning to much older, and then you have those, you're like, that dude's a beast.
Yeah.
All in the same class.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and the crazy part is when they're taking their breaks, a lot of high fives, a lot of support, constant affirmation, which is what we talk about all the time. It's just quality human interaction.
And you don't always get that at other gyms.
Oh, no.
You typically get,
I'm better than you.
why are you on my bench?
Yeah.
You kind of, when you're so close to it and so in it all the time, you forget about that. And I know that might even sound like overly optimistic, but you actually forget that it's not like, hey, take my dumbbells instead, I'll go get the others. But it's like it is genuine. You forget about that.
Yeah.
You forget that it doesn't exist everywhere.
And it's based off the atmosphere that you guys have obviously created here, and I think it's amazing. It's admirable. You know, even for all
There's
our
no
entrepreneurs,
egos out in that room.
No.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
When you think of a gym, I hate to say it, you think of ego.
for sure, no doubt.
But when you walk in here, that's why when I say there's a different atmosphere, when you walk in here, you don't feel that. Like I could see where people would walk in here probably initially feeling some intimidation.
Yeah.
Of course.
That is gone very quickly.
No doubt.
Very quickly.
I appreciate that.
No, I mean, it's huge. Because if it wasn't, I would tell you. Josh knows. I would just come out and say it.
No, I appreciate that. Because, yeah, I mean, I can't help you. My team can't help you until you know for certain that we genuinely care about you. And
Yeah.
so,
Which I think that leads us in some great directions because when you're when you're sitting down with some business-minded people, that is not the model they want you to start with.
Right.
They want you to start with, okay, here's what our product is. Here's what this product costs. This is how much we can charge. This is how much we can bank.
Correct.
You came in with the process, I need to change these people emotionally and mentally. You can't charge for that. You can't bill for that. You're not going to reap financial gain from that. You're going to reap better human beings.
Right.
You're going to see a better product.
But
You're going to have
you can't pay
great
bills from that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, what kind of challenges has that created?
We're fortunate. Like, I don't believe that today, it's almost 2020. I don't believe that the concept of like build it and they will come.
Sure.
I don't think that exists.
I would agree.
And we got.
So what he's saying is, don't go out and build a baseball field and then expect ghosts to come out of your cornfield.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
But I don't think so. But we got really fortunate. I had a small handful of people that I was training out of my dad's garage before we opened. And like I said, I coached at multiple different CrossFit gyms before I opened my own. I wanted to learn. But we got fortunate. We built something really cool.
Yeah.
That can help people. And on opening day, there was 30 people at the front door waiting. Johnstown needed it.
Wow.
Yeah, fortunate. I don't know.
We're talking about a community that doesn't really have anything like this.
No.
I mean,
well, let's be serious.
Other than football.
Let's be serious. We're talking about a community that you didn't even bring a gym. Like, if you would have put a gym around here, people are like, oh, we know what a gym is. We know what dumbbells are.
Yeah.
No, you said, let's go CrossFit. This is a rural community, which, don't get me wrong, is getting closer and closer to Columbus just due to the geographical areas. But you started a CrossFit gym. From a lot of people, like, what the heck is CrossFit?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, what is this weirdo bringing to us?
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
And by the way, not to dive right into like finances, but by the way, like the most common misconception is like the 24-hour gym is $20 a month or less.
Yeah.
And like our group class, like our most affordable version of like unlimited group class is $140 a month.
Yeah.
So like we're talking about two completely different ends of the fitness spectrum, and there's that misconception of like that we don't sell access like a big box gym. We sell coaching.
Yeah.
So
that's a huge difference. I mean, you go to a 24-hour gym, it's $20, you walk in, but then you're in charge of your own fitness.
You're essentially renting the equipment. Is
correct.
What it is.
Here you come in and then you're getting professional support and coaching, which I don't know if a lot of people understand that. There's multiple levels of certification in CrossFit. Not just anybody can say I'm a CrossFit trainer.
Yeah, correct. And I think that it's so much. I'm certain that it's so much less about the technicality of a coach and more about, again, like, can you have do you know how to interact with people? Do you know how to find people's pain points, actually hear them, and then address them together with them and not at them?
Well, so, Storm, you talked about you brought up finance and numbers, and I think it's a super interesting scenario given the geographics of CrossFit Vernation. And for our viewers and listeners, Johnstown, I would say, is probably a middle class to lower class as far as financials go.
Yeah.
I can't speak for certain because
it's a very good community of blue collar workers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you bring in a business model of, like you said yourself, a higher paying service versus a $20 workout anytime or something like that. Where did that confidence come from as far as knowing that, like Mark already said, bringing this kind of this black sheep into this community of like, man, I don't know if people are going to like this. Where did that confidence reside that I'm confident that this is going to work?
Yeah. I'll never do something that's not a 10 out of 10, or at least a genuine attempt at a 10 out of 10. Don't get me wrong. I fall on my face often. Like
Absolutely, brother.
I think that, again, that will probably be a common theme of today is mistakes and expensive lessons learned and painful, like emotional lessons learned. But, I wasn't prepared and never will be to put something out there just to collect a buck. And the fact of the matter is that we are Johnstown's finest fitness program. We are a premier coaching facility, and there like a dollar amount comes with that. Right. And people appreciate that. They don't feel gouged, or like they understand there's a trade of value and for currency. Time costs money, and people understand that. It's not like they understand what they're getting. Again, that it's coaching and not access. It's not open.
But I think this is something we talk about on the show all the time. You know, every entrepreneur has a product, whether that product is time and skill or whether it's actual product, something they create, and that depicts what it sells, and the market depicts on how much it sells. Right. So what has happened here is Johnstown said this person has a good product. We'll pay that price because they're seeing the results of your product.
Correct.
I mean, and that's different. I'm sure you can say if you can look at your business plan and say, hey, if my product wasn't providing these people what they wanted, I probably wouldn't be making that dollars and cents. And there's a way to undercharge that and a way to overcharge that. Sounds like to me you found the happy median.
People understand the value.
Yeah,
They see it. It's like
that's a challenge for most entrepreneurs and business
No
owners.
doubt.
Here's the thing. We and this is good. I think everybody can take something away from this. We kind of live by a mantra of like, you, my client, standing in front of me. I want to treat you as if you were my only client.
Yes.
You are my number one priority and my only priority. And then, you know, better yet, I'm going to treat you like your life depends on it. And that's the truth, because it does in what we do. Like it actually, like we have taken people who have high blood pressure, type 2 diabetics, and within, 12, 18 months, they're off of all their medications. That's actually life-changing.
Yeah.
And, so like,
but that's a great side effect. That's an absolutely great side effect, because if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner and you're listening to what Storm just said, his first sentence was the customer is the priority, and each customer feels that they're a priority. And we've talked about that here. We've talked about how that relationship is so important, how the way you make your customer feel, because that is his product. It's part of his brand. That's what sells Vernation.
Correct.
And then the side effect is what the results they're getting from your product.
Absolutely.
That's what keeps people coming back. I mean, that's absolutely one of the greatest business models. Once again, we're not talking dollars and cents. We're talking effect.
people
Well,
don't. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
People do not come here for the community. They come here because they have a goal in mind.
Yeah.
I want to lose 20 pounds.
Really? Okay. Stop. Stop. No. Stop.
I know where he's going.
People don't come here for the community. I find that
But
fascinating.
But he's saying they stay.
They stay for the
Because
They
of the
stay
community.
for the community.
And there's your customer retention.
Yeah,
I like it.
So people call Visionary Meals
I
not
see what you're
because
saying.
not because they're like, oh,
Correct.
this is going to change my life. They're going to say this picture looked good.
Yes.
And that's what they're going to do. No different than here. They're like CrossFit.
Yep.
This guy did. He helped Susie lose 20 pounds
Right.
before bikini season.
Right.
Well, I
That's
would
what I'm
take
going
that.
there
I would
for.
take that a step further. I would say no one sees like a post from Visionary on Instagram and says, "Man, that looks like such a good team
To be a part
behind
of."
that,"
Right,
and
yeah.
like, "Wow, they're clients. I bet it's such a good community."
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
where to order. They
Correct.
look and they say, that food looks a heck of a lot better than
Yes.
what I'm putting in my body. I'm sure that it could help me lose the 10 pounds that I've been trying to lose for 5 years. Order. And then they learn about
Yes.
what's behind it. And,
Right.
and that's what people stay. And it
And that's the
doesn't-
hardest part about business
But
is
that's why-
customer retention.
That's why branding is so important. And that's what
Exactly.
people don't understand. It's not what you're posting. It's actually is what you're posting real.
Right. Yeah.
That's why it's so important.
Branding is not a logo and not colors.
Correct.
Yes,
That's
branding
correct.
That's
is
probably
culture.
listeners. That's probably the best thing he'll probably say all day. That's so true, and that's something we haven't touched on at all. Actually, you're right. So branding has nothing per se has to do with your logo. It's the value that you have to give your
Yeah,
customers.
that's
I think
huge.
that's huge.
You're gonna
Huge.
see over the next few years. It's happening now. You're gonna see a lot of CrossFit boxes unaffiliating, because we pay CrossFit HQ a certain amount of dollars and cents to use the CrossFit name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's why you said they're not franchisees, but they're affiliates. So
Yeah.
somehow
Okay.
there's
I
connection.
didn't-
We pay for the right to use the name CrossFit, to use the word CrossFit, even if it's
They
not if-
trademarked it. Genius.
Right. That's so smart.
but in the
Should have trademarked
resources.
meal prepping.
But even the use of their resources, which I guess that's not true, because you can download the CrossFit Level 1 Trainer's Guide online for free right now and start studying. So the point that I was getting at is you're going to see over the next several years gyms unaffiliating,
Yep.
taking the CrossFit name out, and they're going to call that rebranding.
Gotcha.
but everything that they do stays the same.
Yeah.
The classes stay the same. They just don't use the word
They're already
CrossFit.
recognized as CrossFit, so they don't
So
have
it's
to
not a
have that wording.
rebrand,
Right.
And that's this is like a personal like Greg Glassman is the founder of CrossFit, and if you need to describe your brand as like CrossFit, but you owe Greg Glassman an affiliation fee. Like that's just
Oh, really?
absolutely.
Just if you throw the name in there.
I'm just saying, like,
No, I get it.
even if on
Yeah.
your website the word CrossFit isn't used, and on
So what are they calling it? HIIT training?
sure, like, and their
Which we all know what that means.
their legal team is pretty solid. You can't get away with XFit like you used to. Like no,
Yeah.
They're cracking down.
but no. Let's say like I took CrossFit out of our name. We were just Vernation.
Yeah.
And we didn't even call our classes CrossFit classes, but we just called them high intensity interval training classes, whatever. I'm not doing anything illegal. Like I'm not using the word. I don't technically owe an affiliation fee. What I'm saying is if you have to describe your brand to someone as like CrossFit, but so this all started from like the branding topic. Your brand is your cultural beliefs, how you make people feel, what you deliver, and I think people change up a logo or a color scheme and say they rebranded.
Yeah.
And
No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
Storm, kind of turning the page, on the branding aspect, and I love that. I think that's some really good content. Mark and I have touched a lot on this show, and especially pertaining to really a lot of things that we do in our life, whatever it might be. It's always for the glory of God, right?
Yeah.
And Visionary Meals was birthed off a vision that God honestly laid on my heart. Now, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot for this, myself knowing you are a faith-based individual, and it's okay if don't feel like you have to say, hey, yeah, this was a huge aspect of it. But at all in this process when launching CrossFit Veneration, did faith, your belief, come into this at all?
Yeah, I think CrossFit Veneration is a good representation of what my wife and it was our vision. Like it was the vision that we had. So if that's the case, if it's a representation of us,
Yeah,
most definitely. Like we are rooted in our faith and we are God-fearing people that have a lot of work to do always, and that come up short often.
Yeah,
so
but,
yes,
but even in that decision-making factor of like, man, this is scary. Starting a business, it's
course.
scary. Did you rely at all on your faith? Did you go to Christ for something like that?
a lot of praying.
A lot of praying.
A lot
Yeah.
of praying. Honestly, significantly more frequently, a lot more frequently
Yeah.
than now.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Like it is challenging sometimes for me. And I'm not speaking on like for anybody else. For me to keep God on the forefront when everything is good.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
that's something that I'm not proud of.
No, I think you bring up a weakness of I would venture to say everyone.
Yeah.
I would say everyone, because when things are going good, we do lose sight of his impact.
I can't remember where I heard it, which is a shame because it's one of the best things that stuck really well, and I don't know where I read it, but shifting your view of God from treating him like Santa Claus, where you're always asking to thanking,
Right.
and
No, it's
a work in
So
progress.
a lesson I've taught my children, and Josh knows this. I always tell everybody there's no wrong way to pray, but I tell them something I've put into practice is the first part of my prayer is always counting the blessings,
Yeah.
because I want to give him his first, and then say, okay, this is where I am. Because I think most of us do lose sight of that. We go straight into this is how my day is going. This is what's not going right. This is what I'm lacking. Where in turn God's saying, yeah, but you didn't say anything about all the other great things I'm doing for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the little things, especially in running a business. And Josh has spoken on this many, many times. As business owners, you tend to overlook the little blessings, and you're waiting for these big, Pikes Peak blessings, which those are great. But the little things that get you up that journey, man, those are the things sometimes you want to hold on to the longest. And I'm sure you see that here, just having people in your building.
When the first person walks in for the day, it's a blessing.
It's a huge one.
We get to help.
No, that's absolutely fantastic. I think I think so many people think of what we're saying and think, okay, here's a bunch of crazy kooks out here, and they do this all the time, and they always make this direct connection to God, how God does all this. But what people may have not heard is you use the word that we use a lot. It was Courtney and I's vision. And there's a great book that I talk about all the time called Visioneering. Visioneering is a book every entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, whether you believe in Christ or not, you should read the book Visioneering, because he just explained the book to the T. This was our vision.
Yeah.
Nothing was going to stop us. We added in prayer. God had us on this path. Everybody gets visions, and we assume somehow we went to bed and we woke up with it and it was ours. Let us not forget the fact that he has a greater purpose for all of us. And he said, hey, Storm, you have a great skill. You have a great passion. You obviously chose wisely in your partner, and she shares that with you. Now let's go capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you can be successful. You can have financial gain. You can have a community impact. But the bigger story about that is you just did all this for the glory of God, and maybe you didn't even know it.
Right. Which, by the way, doesn't make it easy.
No, God, no.
At all, but very simple.
Usually harder, honestly.
But very simple.
Yeah.
Like
it's direct.
Well, it's just again, gosh, I've already said it like a dozen times, but vision, values, mission, cultural behaviors.
Yeah.
When you're faced with a decision, micro or macro, if you can just lean on those things, like it's very simple.
Yeah.
Should I do this? Does it align? Yes or no? Decision made. Not easy. Like the decision is probably going to be very difficult quite often.
No doubt.
But simple.
Yeah. No, I mean it's very well said. Yeah. It's very well said.
Storm, you talk about hard decisions, right? And I know definitely from experience as well, the roller coaster that business brings. I mean, it's constantly up and down. Adversity, good things are happening, bad things are happening. From your experience, how or maybe what have you dealt with through this time of your experience?
Most challenging obstacle?
Sure. Let's start with your most challenging obstacle of Vernation.
My number one skill is that I surround myself with people that are smarter than me.
I love it.
And
show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
I surround myself with people that are smarter than me, that are just as hungry, if not hungrier than I am. So my biggest challenge to date has been avoiding the icon role. This is not Storm Strout Fitness.
Yeah.
This never ever vision, like never was that the plan. It's like Storm and Courtney's gym.
Yep.
And we get like different journalists and that want to talk about your gym, and like it is not my gym. It is like, as a CEO, I work for my teammates, and my teammates work for our clients, and so. I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
up here.
I think that makes perfect sense.
I think for a lot of people, I could see where they would not understand that.
Well, especially because it's a relationship business, right? Like, and it's real. So, like, when we opened, I coached from 6 a.m., which means 5:30, to 8 p.m., which means 9. And it was that way for a long time. And as soon as I brought on my first coach, aside from Courtney and I, that I trusted and groomed through a process, now they're on, hey, this place is not the same without you.
Right.
That's a compliment. And the client, like from the client,
right.
It's hard to maneuver that.
Yeah. Well, I think the best thing as a business owner that you can do when you're creating something is if an outside person walks into your place of business or your establishment, there should be no obvious sign of, okay, that's the boss, that's the owner. If from my perspective and from what I've experienced here is when someone walks into this place, it's a big question mark. Who's the owner here? Yeah. In a good way, though, because of like everyone has a job, everyone knows what they're doing, everyone is to a T, and to what their responsibilities are. And I think that relates so well to this question and this topic because it's not about you, and it's not about walking around saying, "Hey, I'm the boss, I'm the owner. Everyone do this, do that, A, B, and C." No, we're all here. We're a family. We're a team.
I think what happens when you said it well, the icon role. What happens is you become unapproachable.
Tell me more.
Yeah. So when they take on that role of this person who now stands on the highest pedestal, they become unapproachable. So you become almost unrelatable. So then when you're talking to these individuals, they're looking at you and they're like, well, I hear what he's saying, but he's all the way up here. That's probably not for me. When you stay down and make yourself just that active, I'm involved, I'm as much into this as you are, and you can see that by my actions, it makes you relatable and people buy in.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like I see the as on this topic, the biggest struggle is just making sure our people, understand that like what's happening out there
Yeah.
is not my doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it is a team effort.
Well, I think it's important that your team understands they all have an impact.
100%.
They don't have to wait for Storm to make the impact and then them go to work. Right. No, you have the freedom to have the same impact.
The days, so all of our team, like all of our teammates know that they have the power to make large decisions that affect each other.
Yeah.
At any given moment. The days of like bottleneck decision making are long gone here.
Yeah.
Well, I think anytime, and he's used two words today that I've really liked. He uses tribe and team a lot. But anytime that you can empower each other, you do two things. Number one, those people are now invested in your brand as much as you are. Yeah. And number two, you don't have the turnover.
Right.
So like somewhere else could come knocking on the door and say, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars even more. But what they have now is they have a value that money can't buy.
Well, they have opportunity as well.
Yeah.
Well, also, I think we're kind of
That's good.
Walking a fine line here, more so in the walls of CrossFit Veneration. So your customers outside, put them aside real quick. Your teammates of CrossFit Veneration, there is a fine line as business owners and entrepreneurs of walking that line that you don't walk around like your shit doesn't stink, but you also
No, but his brother's Jeep says that though. It has Steelers all over it.
yeah, right. But at the same time, there is a demand of respect at the same time. And I fully believe that because when all else hits the fan, people need to know, A, where to turn, okay, and who's going to take charge. But else, this is also your business. You built this from the ground up. No one was here sleeping in this place while you were building it, right? No one was putting in the hours that you were. So there is a line of definitely respect that you have to establish as a business owner, or else when all else does hit the fan, people aren't going to respect when you have to put your foot down. So Storm, from your experience, obviously you have built that community-like atmosphere, and I know we've touched a little bit on a couple episodes ago about working with family. You do work with some family. How have you established?
Some family.
How have you established
balanced
or
it?
balanced
Yeah.
that aspect of hey, respect, but not micromanaging or saying, hey, I'm gonna watch everything you do.
You just opened a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
This is good.
Go.
This is good. First and foremost is it starts with genuine affirmation. So I can't give you honest evaluation if I don't give you genuine affirmation.
Okay.
I would say it starts there. Everyone knows that I am coming from again
A genuine place.
If we're talking to the team, everyone knows that if I'm busting you for something, I'm helping you. I want to see you be successful. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want you to feel this way. I'm here to help. But that the prereq to that is genuinely affirming them of all the things that they're doing well. See it and say it.
Yeah.
And I got to give credit where it's due. By the way, Greg Ford is the lead pastor of one church.
Yeah.
That dude, like, he says some stuff and it sticks. So that's actually I'm pretty sure that's right out of his book. Yeah. So, and I know he wouldn't like me giving him credit for that either because
that's just he's
a humble dude.
Right.
But see, wait, you just said the word because this is where I was going to interject with. What you brought up and what he's living is humility because it starts with his own humility. Mm-hmm. If he's willing to accept his own criticism and accept his need for improvements and accept the affirmation, then it's a lot easier to give it as well.
I would say it's like puberty. It's like I was excited. I would say that you asked about challenges.
Yeah.
And that's another one is like team. Like, yes, I am the boss. Yes, I am the owner. However, in many regards, I work for you.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, please give me feedback.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
like a silly example kind of, or a micro example is like when you become a coach, when you're on the training floor, you become the last person, like naturally you become the last person that gets coached out there by other coaches because we're out there helping clients. And that's something that we really focus on is coaching each other and feedback, and no one is above receiving feedback.
I think it's funny he called himself the boss and the owner, when I think everybody already knows Courtney's the boss and the
That's
owner.
true. That's
true.
the most accurate.
I think Courtney
thing
would
that's
relate too.
She knows. She doesn't have to say it.
No, that's what's so beautiful about it. She's listening to this going,
These idiots.
he's not the
I
boss.
can't believe they asked him to be on there.
I let him do this.
Right.
I let him do this show.
She is very, very much the fuel behind.
Which I think takes us into a good topic. You just said Courtney's fuel. I mean, we talk about just being in business with family. You know, your brother works for you, which that in its own self, I'm sure at times brings in a different level. But starting a business with your wife,
Yeah.
like you're here every day together. How do you separate business and family?
So that is where, and this is piggyback off of his original question too, is we do a poor job at this, at what I'm about to say, which is leaving it on the desk right there. And, and again, it is a blessing because we never sit around the dining room table and complain. But it's always problem solving.
Yeah.
Problems come in all different shapes and sizes.
Right.
So, we'll be sitting on the couch on a Tuesday night and clock strikes 10:30 and we're still like problem solving this new idea that we have. And it's like, hey, we haven't taken like 5 minutes today to talk about like our personal hopes and dreams and next steps. And so that's coming from a very vulnerable place. Like that's a huge challenge, but I think that's we're trying between my wife and myself and my brother, like when we close the door for the day, like it needs to stay here, the good and the bad, because we have living to do outside of this. Does that make sense?
No, it does. I think it's a challenge for a lot of people. I know there's been multiple business owners that have reached out specifically to Josh and I and say, how do I turn it off?
Right.
And then there's the fear of turning it off.
Yeah.
You know, there's the fear, well, if I'm not doing it, then it's failing.
Like how to unplug almost.
Yeah. But the truth is you have to have that separation. It's healthy, especially like in a position where you are. I mean, we talk to business owners where it's just them. Now you add in my wife's my business partner. You know, we do this together. It's like, well, when do we do us, and then when do we do Vernation?
Right.
You know, and for health reasons for both of those, they need to be separate.
Yeah, we're very blessed because, like our personal our personal dreams and desires do align with this.
Yeah.
Like, this is a vehicle for that, but there's got to be an off switch.
Well, and I think it's even going to become more important here in the next few years as, you know, your son's 1, and as he gets older, you know, your focus is going to have to be able to shift because he'll need separate attention that doesn't revolve around veneration, which a lot of people struggle with. I mean, I was currently mentoring a business owner who's got 3 daughters, and he's like, "Look, man, I got to turn this off," and I'm like, "Look, you do, because they deserve that."
Right.
Although being successful was also a benefit they will directly gain from your hard work and your desire and your vision and your effort. But at the same time, there's an emotional need there that business can't provide. Yeah. You know, and so I think a lot of people struggle with that balance.
Well, Storm, would you agree with that at times, and we've talked on this when we did that, put Josh on the spot for that show, that as a business owner, and when you do have a family, especially someone like yourself, you're a business owner, you have a wife and you have a little kid, and you're what, 24, 25, 26? How old are you?
24.
24, okay.
24.
So
I feel very old right
you're
now.
obviously very young. So that is a challenge, but would you agree that it is obviously important? I think we all would agree to set aside, unplug, give yourself that time for your family, for your wife and for your kid. But knowing after maybe they go to bed, my grind maybe doesn't stop, or I'm the first one to get up in the morning because I got to do X, Y, and Z. It's devoting that time for them to sacrifice maybe some time for yourself to give it to them, but knowing, hey, once I feed them and I feed myself per se, I still got to go work, right?
Yeah, I'm fortunate because Courtney, I mean, yeah, Courtney's phenomenal and takes care of home like during the day, more than I do, and we trade off and on with spending time with Riot, which is like the best thing.
Heck yeah.
So I would say that has been our personal biggest struggle is like I mean, you said it earlier, like in the beginning, 2015, it was all day, every day, side by side. We did this all together.
Yeah.
And we did a 180. Like when I'm working, she is with Riot,
right?
Vice versa. So no, I'm fortunate how well we work on time management.
Yeah.
So like there's some mornings last night, like I worked till midnight. But that's becoming less and less common.
Okay.
It's time management during the day.
Yeah, for sure.
It's because I'm done taking my laptop home.
Yeah. Okay.
Because even if I'm off temporarily for dinner, it's sitting right there, and I know that it's coming.
Yeah,
and it'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah,
like it. So no,
but I think this goes to an episode where we talked about balance. And I think so many people assume balance is 50-50, and it's really not.
Well, I've got a mentor, a good buddy. His name is Sean Ryder. He wrote a book, and I'm gonna butcher it. The Relentless Pursuit of You.
There it is.
Yeah,
might be on the shelf. Pillars. So rather than a balance, like a teeter-totter,
correct,
a seesaw, it's different pillars, and sometimes you have to give and take.
Correct.
And,
like that.
And I've explained that on our show. I said you'll realize that in different phases, your balance is scaled differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand that. They assume, well, I need to have 50% here and 50% here. Well, when you're a business owner, honestly, when you're a passionate person chasing your vision, regardless of whatever it is, that scale will not be even.
Ever.
But the goal is to never have it 100% on one side.
Can't.
Because you need that other side to remain sane.
Right. Well, it's your support system.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
And I'm just I'm so fortunate.
Well, I remember the first time I met Courtney. She was packing the baby like he was like getting ready to go on a trip to the Himalayas. I mean, he was strapped right to her, and it's like, okay. I'm like, look at this multitasker. I love it.
She's a superhero.
Yeah,
she is super mom, no doubt. No doubt.
So your name's Storm, your brother's name's Steele. The baby's name is
Riot. RYATT.
A Riot.
Oh,
Quiet Riot, which you guys probably don't know. I'm old.
Good band.
Just for everybody listening, I was like a freshman when these guys were born. So it's a little different, but that's an awesome name. Riot Stroud.
Her idea.
I like that.
I don't have any original ideas.
More on Courtney, because I think you guys share something very, very special. Is Courtney motivated the same way that you are?
More so. She's hungry.
Okay, interesting.
Which is part of what we're trying to figure out, because like she doesn't want to not pursue passions.
So we brought the wrong person on the show.
You did. I told you guys that. She's gonna wonder why you invited me and not her. No, she's she's focused. She's so balance again. Like she
gets it.
She's a perfect balance between this is like whatever project we're working on. This is very important and it needs full attention, but she can also like put the things that matter most in her line of sight.
You said it earlier. You both share the exact same vision.
We do.
Which in a case like this is incredibly important, because it goes from one visionary with a support system to two visionaries supporting each other.
It's beautiful.
And it shares.
Yeah.
So then you can have that. You can have that expectation of each other, which is huge.
Right. So you guys almost hold yourselves accountable.
Very much so. We have it's a really nice blend, because I don't even think I've mentioned this, but Courtney is our head nutrition coach. So right. she's the founder of the Fueled Nutrition program, which I guess you could call like our sister company. Like we're
sure.
Earlier we were defining CrossFit. Like CrossFit is not only like what you're doing out on the training floor, but if you're eating poorly, incorrectly, if you're fueling your body wrong, you're not doing CrossFit.
So if you're eating things that taste good, you're doing CrossFit wrong. If you eat,
Basically, what he's
broccoli.
trying to say, if you're not eating visionary meals, you're not fueling your body.
well, no, I mean, we've said this a lot on here. We get a lot of listeners who are aspiring athletes, and we tell them all the time, your body's fuel is incredibly important to getting the results you want.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. Chad Johnson, NFL player, and I watched an interview he did, and that dude literally lived on McDonald's.
It's disgusting.
And I had no idea how a dude that lived on McDonald's, A, looked like he did, but B, sat there and ran a 4.2 flat all day long and caught footballs. But Lamar Jackson, who plays for the Ravens, they questioned his college coach. He's like, the kid loves Red Lobster. That's all we eat. And I'm like, how? And genetics are amazing.
Yeah.
But the reality is for the rest of us, you have to be putting in the right stuff to get the right result.
Doesn't it frustrate you to think like what could they have been?
Oh,
like
exactly.
Like all I can think, like the only, and this might be a loose.
That's like if Michael Vick would have actually watched film, he could have been amazing. What could have been?
All I can picture is like a warning track, and then like your outfield fence, and like all you're doing is approaching the warning track. Like what could you have been capable of if you would have? And that goes for all of us. No matter how well they ate, there was other areas of their lives, but it is frustrating.
Yeah, but I think for the normal individual listening to this, I think for 90% of your regular athletes, they understand that what you put in your body is ultra important. I mean, if they didn't, Chase Young wouldn't eat visionary meals.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? So he understands the value of what I'm putting into my system.
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Storm, you talk about. I like that. I like the analogy of a warning track, and I'm gonna kind of come back a little bit here. In business, at times we can feel like we're approaching that warning track, or we're getting pushed closer to the fence. At times, and we just talked about on a show, I think our last show actually, the time of seasons and stuff like that. So, kind of going back a little bit real quick on the roller coaster aspect. And I don't want you to share actual numbers or analytics or anything like this, but how do you, when looking back at your company numbers, and not seeing what you thought you might see, how do you handle that? When you're like, man, going into this month, I think we finished really strong, and you look at your numbers, you're like, dang, I didn't even beat last month or something like that. How do you?
I think a better way to say it is when you think about it, like people. This is a great time of year for people to cheat and take it easy because it's the holidays.
Sure.
And then I'm assuming January, February, March, you probably get a large storm of maybe new people wanting to get back in shape.
Storm, I see what you did there.
That was nice.
It was good. So you go through those waves. So how are you preparing into those? And not only that, but how do you handle those?
So one, you'd be surprised as far as like the influx after the new year, because we're not a commodity. We're not a fad. You can't sign up for $10 a month and not use it.
This goes back to what I said. CrossFit is not just a gym; it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, 100%. And you don't. So yes, so the new year is a good time to wake up and refocus. But so to answer the question directly, it's all about like the help first mindset. So my mentor Josh and the founder of Two Brain Business, which is my mentorship group, everything is founded on the help first model.
Sure.
So it's working ahead of those things. It's helping first. So I write consistently and pushing information out about, like, for example, the holidays are coming up, and it's a common thing you hear. Like, I would dial it in after Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about, and let's pull it back to Thanksgiving. So you're talking about 1, maybe 2 meals at Thanksgiving. You're talking about Christmas Eve dinner. Christmas morning, probably not going to eat the best breakfast. You got a Christmas lunch.
Right.
I'll give you the day after for some leftovers, and you got a New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
So you're going to wait to make a life-changing decision because of 7 meals.
Yeah.
And it's just the education piece.
Yeah.
Because with the first time that was brought to my attention, I was like, whoa. So how do you...
But a little bit deeper though, because we have a ton of business owners out there that listen to this podcast, and I know a lot of them go through times where they're like, why am I not seeing the results, or am I not seeing the results? Almost like our last show, the treadmill syndrome. So, working, moving, but not
going
feeling
anywhere.
like you're getting anywhere.
Yeah, data. Business decisions are not emotional. So
that's a fact.
We try to make them that.
Yeah.
So you could, you could have a bunch of new members come in, just using like Vernation as an example. You have a bunch of new members come in, and you get them all signed up. You start helping them. You get them set up with their nutrition coach and their personal trainer, and man, I'm killing it. I feel so good. And like all the while, like your current members, you lost 10 of them because you were paying attention to the wrong things.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So you were operating off of emotion. I had a great month, but you go look at your data and it's like,
But really, I didn't.
I did not at all.
I gained 5 and lost 10.
Right. Bad equation. So I think the first part of that answer is you got to track your data. That way you can go in and patch the holes in the ship.
Yeah, and kind of.
I think it's really important for all business owners to understand your vision and your passion probably doesn't come with the bookkeeping.
That's true.
But it's ultimately so important.
Bookkeeping?
The detail work that comes from behind that. Because what you heard just Storm say is that's what saves your butt at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because that's almost like a self-critique.
Yeah, it's just the truth.
Exactly.
Well, that's how
you're looking at that. You apply it. I'm accountable to this because this isn't lying.
Yeah.
So it's not my opinionation of myself saying, yeah, I'm in this beautiful building and I've got people in this building. But if the data doesn't match that, then you're actually not being successful. That's why it's so important to understand that, yeah, your vision and passion are awesome and that's what drives you. Don't lose sight of the little things that still allow you to chase your vision and your passion. Because if you shortcut those, and we've seen it, when you don't take care of the office, the door's closed.
That's a fact. No, I loved what you said there because you said you can't build it off of emotion.
Oh no,
it's so true. I mean, the market depends how well you do. The community that you create, depends how well you do. So those analytics are such a good tool to use as business owners to go back and look, like you said, and like, okay, these numbers are lower. Why? And how do we patch
Sure.
it?
We'll take away the dollar sign and take away the X amount of members. And look at in our industry, it's like, let's look at a workout. Let's look at like our programming. We have this awesome idea, and we're gonna have all these cool workouts, and people are gonna love them, and like they're fun, and they leave you smoked at the end. You're laying on the ground, like you're making yourself a puddle of sweat, a sweat angel. And are you getting better? And we don't know that unless we're tracking our data. So like Monday we retested one of our benchmark workouts, and over 60 people set personal records. Like that's data. So sure, today's workout might be kind of boring. Like we try to make it fun. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing off the top of my head right now. But today's workout might not be the most fun thing in the world. You can't go off of emotion. Like, is it working? Are the results coming? Data.
It's a block to the foundation. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. You're building blocks, and then that's really good for people to understand that sometimes things aren't the most enjoyable, but they're necessary.
Right.
And so if you discount the emotion part and keep yourself focused, then you can still be successful even in those moments in time. That's really good. Yeah.
Storm, at any point in time, because I don't think we've said, how old is CrossFit Veneration?
We're into year 5 now.
Okay,
so we opened in
congratulations.
October 2015. Thanks.
Actually, go ahead, Mark.
But how long have you been in this building?
Like 1 year to the day after opening. So we opened in October 2015. I moved us here in October 2016.
Okay.
And so during that first year, where were you?
On the other side of town. It's like 20. I was going to say like 20 feet. Like we were on Jersey Street.
Okay, so I'm going to test you, and if you don't know, that's fine. But before that, you were in your dad's garage.
True story.
So you go from your dad's garage, which is roughly what, 600 square feet,
yeah,
to the next building, which was what?
Training floor was like 1,200.
1,200 square feet to this, which is what?
This building is 9,000 square feet.
Okay, so listeners, we've directed this on this show many, many times. When did you know to move?
This is too big. This building is too big, just so everybody knows.
Right now.
Hey, just so everybody knows, this building's gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm cutting that part out.
No, it's when did we know? See, but like I have a softball here. Like I have easy answers because like we were.
I'll take easy answers.
You're just giving me easy questions to answer because
no, but this gets to a point that I want to make.
Because we're fortunate where like I knew that I wanted to have classes at our like prime times before work, like so early morning, and then we have one that's like later morning.
Location. that we're going? No?
Oh, well, I was going to say, so I knew what prime times I wanted to have, and we were busting at the seams. I can only put so many people safely in an area, and I wasn't prepared to put people's safety at risk any longer.
So what you're saying is you were growing a business. Growth went to a point where you didn't have a choice.
We exceeded our operational capacity.
That's my point. He didn't move out of desire for this new, bigger, better. Right. He didn't move because he had to have something. He moved because the demand required it. So many times our business owners, they look around, they look at the flash, and they look at company over here saying, well, I want what they have. Mm-hmm. Well, unless the demand demands that, you need to slow your roll. Yeah. You need to take a step back and wait till you get there. Don't count your chickens for the eggs hatched. My mom always used to tell me. Yeah. And you saw him. He started out very humbly in a garage, burst at the seams, went to another building, burst at the seams, and now you're in this big, beautiful building that it may be large, but it provides growth.
No, absolutely. We've used the space well.
And I mean it when I say it. If you have not, if you know nothing about CrossFit, if you know nothing about a certain gym and what to expect, I would challenge you to come here. No, we're in Johnstown, Ohio. It's very easy to find. It's right off the main drag. Super. And it's a beautiful building. Walk in here and take a peek because it is a beautiful building.
Thank you.
It's very beautiful. It's very clean. Yeah. And it's a welcoming environment. I mean, I would challenge people to come check that out.
I'm just curious. What color are the walls in our entryway? Do you know?
They're wood.
You did notice. Okay, the point I was going to make. That's good. You're very observant.
I'm a firefighter.
He's very observant.
The point I was going to
check
make.
out all the exit signs.
Yeah. That's funny. The conversation that I have to have with myself, often, because one of our 6 core values is organization, and I use that like all encompassing, like organization, cleanliness, whatever. Yeah. I obsess over it, and it is important to understand that while that is crucial, it's not sufficient. Right. And most people can't answer that question of what color the walls are when you enter. Yeah. The point is we're standing there at the front door when you get here. Yeah. That's what matters.
No, that's good.
That's why we were able to have some early success in what was really like a dump.
Well, you talk about the early success.
Yeah, but see, when I came in here today, the owner didn't even remember me.
That was so ridiculous. Hey, man, nice to meet you. You're like, it's nice to see you again. Right. Oh, man.
But I went straight throwing shade quick. This guy.
Was I coaching? Did I come off the training floor to introduce myself?
You actually came and gave him a hug like you said at the beginning of the show when people walk in the door.
If you're watching, his face right now is so good.
That is the most...
it's perfect. See, I thought we would have connected because we're both sleeve brothers.
Oh, right.
We both love our ink.
You probably had a hoodie on. That's what it was.
I always have a hoodie on.
And we couldn't...
Some don't have sleeves. Some do have sleeves.
I prefer when he doesn't have sleeves because his tat's dope. But no, Mark brings up an awesome point here, guys. And so many aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners, when they launch something, they go into a space that's just way beyond their means, right? And I think you just said it. I forget what word you used, but being in a dump, and that's such a crucial aspect to growing what you have birthed here and what you have grown here. Is if you were to start day one in here, you probably wouldn't be here still.
We would have failed.
Because I mean, numbers are simple, guys. I mean, you can't be spending more than you're obviously making. So those baby steps, and I can relate almost identical. I mean, Ashley, we started in our apartment kitchen, went to Mama's kitchen.
I don't know if people know that. You went from 5 square feet in one kitchen to literally 100 square feet, and then now this kitchen, and now getting ready to go to another kitchen.
Working on it.
But the demand is the demand.
And that's it, guys.
So many people, guys, we've used this word again. Humility is everything. And with humility does come a lot of success. Yeah. This goes back to humble people are relatable. Okay, because when you allow yourself to be vulnerable in that time, then people let their guard down, and then you get authentic relationships. Yeah. And in business, it's so important. You want authentic relationships because then you get authentic support and you get real devotion. Right. I mean, if Josh was in a constant turnover in clientele as far as food, it would be a struggle. Yeah. If Storm was in a constant clientele turnover, it would be a struggle. You need that. And I'm not even a business owner, but I focus on relationships. People who are in business and tell you that relationships aren't important are lying. Either that or they have an endless amount of money to burn.
Right. It's everything.
It's super important.
Yeah. Well, I've always said from the beginning, and you would probably agree with this. I don't know, maybe not. If I were to launch a business again, or do visionary meals all over again, I would prefer to launch it with the least amount of money.
Yeah.
And I say it because if you have a ton of money to resort to, you get careless, you make bad decisions.
Yeah.
You make decisions that you should be making a year from that time. So I like that. But you also said, and when you said you guys have been open for five years now, the company at least, it made me think of another question that I wanted to ask before I get to this final question. In this 5 years, and I'm actually asking this selfishly, because I'm not there yet, and I know we have a lot of business owners that aren't there yet in their 5 year in their grind. They say businesses is that 5 year grind. Once you hit that, a lot of people say once you hit that 5 year mark, I'm not going to sit here and say like you made it, but you made it essentially. So congratulations. It's like one of those. Don't get me wrong, the grind never stops, and you're always improving. But that 1 year is probably terrifying, and you could probably look back and think of those terrifying times of that first year birthing the company, and then year 2, did you do better? Did you not do better? It's almost like that year of like this year 2 is almost the most important year because you got to beat year 1 essentially, and then year 3 kind of gets better. So can you relate, or can you talk on for myself and a lot of the listeners here that are currently going through that process right now, striving to get to a sustainable point in their business?
Yeah, I would say that. So first and foremost, if you are going to open a business, if you're going to be your own boss, get ready. No matter how much preparation or planning that you have, get ready for the first 365 days to work 14 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Amen.
Right? You should probably take a day to breathe because it matters.
Right.
But anyway, point being, get ready to work your fingers to the bone. But it's very important that during that process that you are carefully recording your systems and processes, the steps on how you do every little thing. Here's a silly example, right? Our cleaning procedures here. Like our cleaning procedures are literally written out to where like use the sponge to clean the sink first, rinse the sink out, take the sponge to the back of the toilet seat, clean the toilet seat, discard of the sponge. It matters because there's
absolutely.
no such thing as common sense.
Yeah.
And like as soon as
Right.
I put a new cleaner in that role and he or she goes and cleans the toilet first and then cleans the sink with the sponge.
Cross-contamination.
That's
Now
a
we have an
problem,
issue.
right?
Yeah.
So point is,
And it is silly, but that's actually very important.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Little
like,
things.
Never ever when I was doing my first CrossFit certification, my level 1 course, did I think that part of my job description one day would be
Cleaning
plunge the toilets.
But I don't want to interrupt you. But here, from business owner, and you think, well, that's just stupid, and that is common sense. Okay, well, understand this. The reverse of that is an individual comes in who doesn't have common sense, cleans the toilet, cleans the sink. Now we have an infection issue that goes on, and somebody gets sick. Next thing you know, your brand is trash
Right.
because hey, this place isn't clean. This place
Seriously.
is dirty.
There,
What he just told you may sound silly, but on a grander scale, that's a very silly thing that you have to do to protect yourself.
do yourself a favor and record every single minute detail
Yeah, that's
because
great
there
advice.
is no such thing as common sense.
Great
and that's not an
advice.
insult. Your
Yeah.
common sense is different than mine is different
Right.
than yours. There's
Yeah.
no such thing. And so record everything so you can then, when it comes time to delegate, you can pass it off. I did not do that. So I'm today. I can show you the binder. Like I'm catching up writing standard operating procedures because I did everything.
SOPs.
The old SOP. My team loves it. They make fun of me because we SOP everything. But record everything, and then when it comes time to pass it off, I cannot just hand you an SOP and say good luck.
Right.
It is something to lean on. Do you want me to keep going? I got a couple other lessons.
Yes.
Please do.
Go for it.
So, contracts save relationships.
Agreed.
Evaluations build relationships. So, I had a couple very unfortunate relationships that today don't stand in like super awesome. What am I trying to say? We're not in super awesome standings today, and I wear 100% of that. And it's because the expectation was never clearly written out. So and I still wear that. It doesn't feel good because when it came time to evaluate, it was coming from a caring place. I wanted to see that individual be successful, but all I was doing is hounding them because there was no expectation to lean on.
Right.
So today, multiple family members work for me and with me, and they all have contracts, and those contracts are renewed every 3 months. And that way, I have, for example, my member success manager, Gabby, she has 3 roles here. She currently does our cleaning. She is our member success manager, and she's one of our field nutrition coaches, and she's damn good at it, by the way. And maybe on her next, during her next quarterly review, things just aren't aligning in one of those roles. I don't fire her. Her job is not her time here is not done. Yeah. We reevaluate her strengths and her weaknesses, and now we can make adjustments. We're leaning on the contract. That was just hypothetical. Yeah, Gabby's not doing anything wrong.
No, but it makes perfect sense.
Good sense.
So it might feel weird. It certainly will feel weird to have a contract, especially if you're working with family. Mm-hmm. They save relationships because now it's this piece of paper on the other side of the table that we're teaming up to problem solve. And then as I am evaluating you, I'm leaning on that original expectation.
Well, on paper is just very good, clear, concise communication. Yeah. And communication is extremely important. Yeah. Yeah. Especially, and you mentioned it earlier, because you may feel you're communicating clearly. Right. Does not mean that
it's received clearly.
It's received in the same way in which you delivered it. Yeah. So it's very important. That's actually a great point. And I think that can apply to any type of business. Yeah. I think you can do that with any type of business. And I think reevaluations are so important because then you don't risk that stagnant mode where people get into, you know, and then it's even harder to approach. Right. You know, because either you make yourself miserable not wanting to approach it, or they get miserable when you do approach it and they act like they are blindsided. Mm-hmm.
My mom has been one of my largest mentors too.
Which, by the way, everybody listening, he's used mentors multiple times, and he's obviously has multiple mentors. I don't care, business related or personal related. Mentors are so important to life growth.
Everyone needs a coach.
Absolutely.
I have. It doesn't?
Yeah.
Like all of my coaches here, like all of our team's coaches, like they're my coaches.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a coach.
Yeah.
Again, that's why we do what we do. My mom is one of my largest mentors, and one of the things that stuck with me, we were just talking about this morning on the phone, is blame frame versus aim frame. Okay. So when it comes to evaluations, if I'm coming into something, whether it's a scheduled evaluation or something happened that we need to address, and I'm coming into it with in a blame frame, like this is what you did wrong, you did this can't be this way, whatever. Right. Like there is no
one's receiving
no one's receiving it. We're not trying to accomplish anything short of me just ripping you up. If I'm coming into this with an aim frame, I'm aiming to make sure that, number one, we understand why it happened. Number two, that it never happens again. Yeah. That's really stuck with me.
Well, I think the best thing is if you deliver something that needs delivered to a coworker or something, and they can walk away from that conversation and asking themselves in their head, "Oh my, I think I just got ripped." You know what I mean? I think I just got in trouble.
In every counseling class I ever took and every coaching certificate I ever got, the first rule of thumb is it's never you.
Yeah.
It's never you.
Right.
You never start out any conversation with you. It's here's the situation, and then here's how we can handle it better. Yes. We. Good, it's Mark. This and we. Because once you you go to you, it feels like I'm being attacked.
Yeah.
And even if you're dealing with your wife or your significant other, whether it's your husband, your wife, or whoever, that's a great way to start most conversations is not by coming in and saying, well, you did this, you did that. It's, hey, here's the situation. Here's how we handled it. Right. Here's how we can do this better. This is how I feel. Yeah, it's a good point. Great point.
And sometimes the other person that you're delivering it to has a side of the story that you might not know. But with that being said, it's also very important to collect all of your facts before going into something like that, so you're not blindsided. But Storm, I had one last question for you, unless Mark has anything. Everything we've heard today is obviously magnificent. I mean, you obviously have an amazing story. You've been through a lot, and mentally, I want you to kind of go through or go to a point in your head where the times that were just really, really hard, and you know, just everything sucked, right? Because we've all been there, especially as business owners. Has there ever been a point in time in this walk of CrossFit Vernation where you felt like giving up?
No one's ever asked that.
We're a different kind of show.
This is good. You guys are next level. Right before we opened,
This place.
like the first location, right before
Before
we
you even started.
opened the doors of formal CrossFit Vernation, the bank account was zero.
Yeah.
Nothing. It was it. Like that was, I had spent everything. The equipment hadn't arrived yet. And I was like sitting there by myself, sitting in this empty, clean, painted space with no equipment yet, no people. And, in that moment, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, this is not going to...
Wait, you're what, 19?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You didn't have any idea what you were doing.
Like, and I went into it knowing that I was clueless, but like in that moment, it was so like 300% of that, where it's like,
well, fear is a liar, Storm.
What?
Fear is a liar.
It's like, what did you do? Like,
Yeah.
I sure hope someone shows up on the first day, because I had like, again, a small handful of clients.
Yeah.
I was scared, and Courtney and I talk about that every great once in a while, where she's like, that's the only time I've ever heard you say that. And I was like, it wasn't because I was pouting and having a pity party.
Right now.
I was like, legitimately couldn't see how this was going to align. But I think that the greatest way to make God laugh is probably to tell him all about your plan.
Yeah.
So that's
I do think about that at times, where he's out there just going, what is he doing?
look at all his to-do lists.
Yeah.
And all that. Yeah.
Have you seen mine?
Let me show you mine.
So I've never said that out loud.
No,
I was
good.
I was genuinely.
But I think as a
couldn't
business
see
owner,
it.
if you say you haven't had that moment, that thought, you're lying to yourself.
Right.
Because I think that thought is power. It's powerful. Faith is things yet to be seen. We all struggle in that in moments and times, and even in ourselves, specifically in ourselves. And that's motivation. That's fuel.
I never wanted to feel that way again.
Exactly.
Sucks,
You look at that moment in time and you're like, is this really going to happen? But that's where I think really celebrating all the little things is so important, because that's what keeps that feeling from coming up again.
Yeah.
Because when you start saying, well, I didn't reach where I thought I should be, and notice I didn't get where I thought I should be. I'm not making what I thought I should be making. Get rid of those. Get rid of those and say, I am where he wants me to be when he wants me to be. So I need to make sure that I'm celebrating all those little things, because then you do appreciate it. And when it's time, it's time. I mean, it's not our time, it's his time, which is hard for all of us, especially when you put three dominant, very driven individuals out on something. We want to go. And we think the harder we work, the faster it'll get here. That's not always the case.
Right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
No, that's good. That's good. Now go ahead.
No, I was going to let Storm. I know we're closing up on the show, but I mean, Storm, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, but there's also a lot of people on here who just listen to this show because we do talk just life. I've had multiple people say, hey, you guys don't talk about any earth-shattering things, but you guys always talk about what most people don't.
Right. Which I don't know if it's a compliment or not.
Yeah. Hey, they're listening.
You guys talk about a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
It's all obvious.
But when you think about the people listening to this and you think about your experience and you had to give them, a quick blurb of motivation or insight, what would you give to them?
I would say all I can do is I mean, you kind of beat me to it, is piggyback off of like pointing out the positives. We call them bright spots.
Yeah.
So kind of a loose analogy, but like it's really hard if you're trying to push a pickup truck through a parking lot. Mm-hmm. It's really, really hard to get it moving.
Yep.
But once it's moving, it's pretty easy to keep it moving. And that's kind of like the guiding principle to bright spots. Highlight the things that are going well. Success breeds motivation, not the other way around. So like, I need to be more motivated. Like, you're not going to wake up motivated tomorrow. It is your responsibility right now to pick out the things that are going well. And it may just be that you woke up this morning. Like that may be what you've got on your side right now. But I think if we all take a second to look at what's actually happening in our lives, we can probably find a lot of bright spots. And they compile and they lead to the next things. So, I mean, whether it's in business or life, with others, or your personal life, I would say try to find as many bright spots as possible, as frequently as possible. And again, it's like track the data, see how you feel, see how things go from there.
Reevaluate. It's fantastic.
That's good. I like that. I like that a lot. Really
Yeah.
good stuff. Well, Storm, do you have any Anything else for our listeners or viewers? I mean, I think.
Yeah, he does. Come to CrossFit Veneration.
Yeah, right. I think we covered a lot of good stuff today. I'm like, man, we gotta schedule another one of these because this.
I would be happy to. No, I appreciate.
So
I hope I can bring some.
We
value.
do. We need to schedule another one of these and have Courtney in here.
I will. I will stay with Riot. You guys can have time with Court.
I want Riot in here.
Yeah, we'll take your better half.
He would break the laptop and the camera and the lights. He's a wild man.
Perfect.
But no, I appreciate the opportunity. I hope I can bring some value. Like I've learned a lot of hard lessons, and there will be more today and tomorrow and always.
I tell Josh this all the time. I get so frustrated with churchgoers. I'm a churchgoer, just so everybody knows.
Sure, right.
Because, and this includes myself, because we all go to church and we're hungry and we get fed, and then we leave and we don't share it.
Yeah.
That's a lot like this.
It's good.
We all chase business and we do things and we have success, and then we don't share it.
Right.
And it's like this competition thing where I think we're all called to share. We want everybody to be successful. And I feel that in here. You say tribe, you say teamwork, you use all these things. That's sharing. And it's like our faith. We're all meant to share that, just like we're supposed to share our lives.
Absolutely, man. You don't have to lose for me to win.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I've been there, like screw them and them and them. Like they're not us. Like I've been in that nasty place before, and it doesn't make anybody feel good. And you don't get any better for it.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of people out there to help. Like everybody can. Not that everybody deserves a participation trophy, but everybody can. Everybody can win.
There's plenty of winning to go around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
great show.
I like that. Well, guys, good stuff. Listeners, we hope you enjoyed Storm Strout being with us today, guys. I know it was definitely a pleasant, environment for Mark and I. Definitely a good change of pace. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that as well. Guys, Storm Strout, obviously CrossFit Veneration owner, successful business individual, but always striving to be better for himself and his team and his community on a day-to-day basis. And I think as we all heard and learned today, in order to reach that level of success of whatever we're chasing, you do have to be a student of the game, and Storm is obviously that. So, Storm, we again appreciate you coming on our show today. It's definitely been a pleasant, surprise and whatnot. So, with that being said, Mark, unless you had one more thing, we're going to close the show.
I want to make sure the Storm, how does everybody get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah,
Please
super
do.
easy. Again, no icon roll. Don't get a hold of me. Get a hold of CrossFit Veneration.
There we go. Perfect.
CrossFitVeneration.com is the most efficient and quickest way to get a response from us. We believe in help first. So we don't have a button where you can click and purchase a membership option. We want to meet you.
Yeah.
So step 1 in our program is a new member consultation. Doesn't cost you anything. You have nothing to lose. Only something to gain, even if you don't start with us. We can probably give you some good advice in that, hopefully. But we want to help you. So new member consultation, schedule it. You'll come in, you'll meet with our member success manager, Gabby, and she will listen to your struggles and your pain points and give you the best possible prescription that we can offer you. So CrossFitVeneration.com.
Perfect.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Guys, as you all know, Deliberately Linked is on all audio platforms. We appreciate you guys viewing and listening with us today. Again, if you guys have any topics that you would like us to share in the future, please don't hesitate to let us know. If you have not hit that subscribe button already, hit that subscribe button. Show us a review, guys. Let us know what you guys are liking, want to hear, don't want to hear, whatever it might be. We do appreciate all your time. Again, we're on all social media platforms as well. Shoot us a follow. Check us out. Communicate with us. Mark and I are always ears. So with that being said, Deliberately Linked signing out.